Alright my friends, how you all doing? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a fresh episode of Planet Zoo and Jamii Conservation Park, our community build series, my friends. Now today I've got a very special episode for you, 26.5. This is something that I've not spoke about. This is something that has been completely it's come out of the woodwork basically. I was just having a little think about the bigger picture where JCP was concerned, and I come up with this idea and I think it's a good one, and I think you guys are going to like it. So that's what we're going to be doing today. If you missed last episode, my friends, it is linked above for you right now. Small extension on the African area. We talk about some zones that get unlocked and stuff, and I ask for your feedback. You've been amazing, by the way, with your comments, but I'm going to hold off on the comments for today because this is a one-off episode. All your comments will be read out on Sunday, my friends. I will be back with a Sunday session episode. Now that my throat is a lot better. Last week my throat was sore bad. I could barely talk for a couple of days, so it wasn't the best time to try and make content, but now that I'm back I'm trying to get caught up, and we're going to start the week in lovely fashion with some Planet Zoo content, my friends. So yeah, that's just a little backlog. Now today, my friends, what I'm planning to do is I'm going to be showing you 5 separate parts of the map, and I'm going to show you my master plan for those parts of the map. And basically I want to use these 5 sort of sections of the map to finish off things that you guys wouldn't necessarily vote for. Some of it you have already voted for, you've been getting your feedback in where it's concerned, but there are parts of this map that are always going to be very unpopular with the viewer. They're going to be squares or rectangles that you guys are either not going to know what to do with them, or they're going to be something boring that you're not going to want to watch me build. For example, a car park. Nobody wants to sit there for like half hour watching me build a car park because it's not exciting. It literally just adds a realistic aesthetic to the zoo. So I have basically picked out 5 parts of this map. A couple of them are bits that you guys are getting your feedback in, your ideas in, and I absolutely love that. But there are a couple where you guys probably would never even think about doing anything with it. And so I want to get them, squares and rectangles, marked off, deleted off the map, if you guys agree, obviously, because you are in charge, and then get them finished up. And I think that once I get these 5 sections finished, that I'm going to give to you today in this master plan episode, is that'll be the end of this chapter, and then we can move on. Chapter 4, I imagine chapter 4 is going to be an exciting one because we're going to be doing the big African savannah area, and then I would imagine chapter 5 will probably be the end of JCP. That's when we're going to potentially do the Australian dome idea that Nightclive come up with, and then that will probably round off this project. We've still got a long way to go. I am just going to say that now. What are we, 6 or 7 months into the build, and we've still got a lot of zoo to build. I just want to throw that out there. Just because I'm throwing out that I think we've only got 2 chapters left, or 2.5 chapters left, that doesn't mean it's going to be over in 5 minutes. I still think we're a good 3, 4, 5 months away from finishing this zoo, which is mad to say, but we want to get the project done properly, and that's what we're going to do. Just going to repeat, your comments have not been ignored from last episode. I'm saving them for the Sunday session episode, which will air this Sunday, 4 PM, as it always does, my friends. But anyway, today, like I say, very different. Let's crack on, my friends, as we go through these 5 areas of JCP and my master plan for each. Right, my friends, so the first part of the map that you're going to see on your screen is actually to the east of the front of the map, I guess you could say. It's east of the entrance. You will see the entrance is there on your screen, just to the left-hand side. Now, I have plans for this area. Obviously, there's that big verge of green that's right over on the sort of right-hand side of the map. That is obviously being left, as that's going to be a main road, basically. That's going to be the main connecting road that the zoo basically lives on is going to connect up to. I'm still undecided if I'm going to do like a realistic backdrop and put, maybe some high-rise buildings or, smaller houses and stuff in the background just for sort of aesthetics later on. I've always said that this will come right at the end of the project. Obviously, we want to make sure that we save ourselves enough space, enough pieces, and all that good stuff to make sure the zoo gets finished. At the end of the day, if the zoo is super laggy when we finish it, we won't go adding that, because I want you guys to be able to enjoy this project when it's done, as it will be going up on the workshop. But as you can see, that part there, that is the main road. That's the main connecting road, ladies and gents. So that's why that space there has been saved. Now, obviously we've got these squares and stuff here. Now, I honestly believe, hand on heart, these are squares and rectangles that you guys are never going to vote for. I don't think you're ever really going to, have any sort of idea of what to do with these, because as you're going to see now, this obviously is what I had said to you recently. The zoo perimeter has been mapped out, so basically that's the zoo perimeter there, ladies and gentlemen. And so because of that, we're right at the edge of the zoo. We're sort of where the guest entrance is. It's guest facing stuff. So my opinion on this area and what I think we should do with it is as follows. I think we had a brand new car park, basically an extension on the car park that's there already. I think that will help massively, ladies and gents. Obviously, the zoo is only going to get bigger. We're only going to need more parking as time goes on. And also, we can add a coach park in there. The actual existing road that we've already got in, that comes in and it goes around that bend and stuff, I don't actually think that coaches would be able to navigate that all that well. So I'm going to add a new section off of our road that goes straight into the car park for the coaches, and it will just be an up and down service and they go out. I think that would make more sense. Obviously, I have done a little bit of research where car parks are concerned, and this is something, a service they would potentially offer up. And obviously we do need some parking for bigger vehicles. Then you're going to see there will be a foliage barrier. Zoos obviously do this to disguise and mask areas and whatnot, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to use a foliage barrier to mask sort of that. That is sort of like the end of the parking, but also the other side of that is obviously going to be staff facility. Now, I am going to probably have to add in another sort of security checkpoint on the road that you can see there that goes up past the entrance. We are probably going to have to add another one. Now, what I've decided with the top, squares and rectangles is I think we need to add sort of some administration services. I've said this to you guys in the past, that zoos go further than just the animals and just your backstage areas and your storage and whatnot. They have administration buildings. They have zoological societies that run the zoos. ZSL is a famous one in the UK that obviously runs London Zoo, Colchester Zoo, and Whipsnade, all in the same society basically. And I do think that, if we are going for the realism, we do need to add sort of some administration buildings. And I think that's a perfect place for them, because we can shield it with the foliage, and then it's further enough away that there could be a security checkpoint and there could be some administration buildings. We can also add some staff parking to that. I think that would be, make a lot of sense to do that, but it's a perfect place for it basically, because past that point we know is then sort of staff services and administration and all that sort of stuff, and the guests don't go beyond that point basically. They just get turned around and return back to the car parks. It's a good way to have services coming in and out as well. There'd be multiple routes. If they ended up coming through sort of the guest entrance way, it's not a problem, because they'll meet a security checkpoint, move on, happy days. So that's the first part, my friends. That's sort of like map one. I've basically called each one of these like their own separate map, even though they're part of the same zoo. But that's map one. Comment section below, do let me know what you make of that. Let me know if you're happy with the idea or not. Would you do anything differently? At the end of the day, you guys are in control. I am just offering you up my opinion on what to do with some of these spaces. And I don't want to tread on anyone's toes. I'm just trying to help the project along the way at the moment, as because of the issues we've had recently, it did hit us, a bit of a standstill, and so I'm just trying to catch up a little bit, everybody. So that's map one. Now let's move on to map two. Okay, so map 2, ladies and gents, is basically the same area, but we've just gone a bit further north. You will see to the left-hand side of the map, that's basically where our North American plains are, where the bison and that live, and obviously that's the bridge over the canal, and that's that area, just to get you familiar with where we are. I'm going to put it back up again, that main road. That's going to basically run all the way up that side of the map. So that's where that main road lives, basically. Now, zoo perimeter, I'll bang that up as well, so you can see where I see the edge of our zoo. And then that gives you a bit more of an idea of what's happening, in this area as well. Now, where this is concerned, first things first, the animal hospital. I'm going to bang that on there right now. Obviously, you all know that space there has always been planned to put a massive animal hospital and quarantine area in, to the zoo. And that's exactly where it's going to live. Now, that might look like that's going to take up a lot of room, but the way we're planning this animal hospital is it's going to be the main focal hub for all of the animals in the zoo. Obviously, we've got small veterinary surgeries scattered about in certain places. We've got one near the grizzlies and the wolves. We've got, obviously, our original staff hub, which is near the reptarium, which services the reptiles and whatnot. But we are going to need a much bigger animal hospital and quarantine area, because we're going to be having some very, very large animals, coming into this facility at the end of the day. We've talked about apes, we've talked about tigers and lions, we've talked about the Australian animals, and so on and so on. So we're going to have some huge animals, so we need a big animal hospital, basically, and that's why we've basically put that space there for the animal hospital. Now, it does leave a few more sort of things here. I do believe I have put on here a staff road, so I will put that up as well, ladies and gentlemen, so you can see that. There is a foliage barrier as well. I think that's important that we keep the administration offices separate from this area, as this is an animal service. I think that because of the potential for animal escape, it would be wise that we put a more heavy duty fence all the way around this area. Just based on stuff that I've been watching, there's always the possibility that animals can escape, especially sort of in these facilities and whatnot. So I think a more heavy duty fence around this, probably from the edge of that foliage barrier all the way up and around to the road and whatnot, just to be on the safe side. And then obviously there's a few more squares left. So the first one, I've put storage. I think storage is really, really important, but I think that this could be the main storage hub, because we're going to have that staff road that's going to go straight out onto that main road. And the reason I've done that is obviously because it's near the animal hospital. Quarantine area, the animal's going to come straight in, and so rather than the lorries or whatever carrying the animals, rather than them having to go all the way down up the original road and then try to find a way in on the looped system that we're building, it makes more sense that they come straight in off of that main road and into the zoo down an entrance basically that is built for this purpose. So I think that the main storage hub might be a good idea. I think that lots of things can be stored here, from food to building materials to trailers to trucks to all sorts of things basically, and I just think it's a really, really good spot right next to the animal hospital. And then the other two squares just above that, I've basically put them down as potential sort of animal hospital extension areas. End of the day, that's a lot of space for an animal hospital, but we don't know if we're going to need a bit more space than we've already got there. A few people have already started sending their ideas in for the animal hospital and how they'd like to see it play out, and I really, really appreciate it. But obviously, I've got to go through all the designs and try to build something that's going to fit the zoo perfectly, and that's why I've basically put those two squares there for just in case. And then also the bit above, I basically didn't really know what to do with that. I don't want to be making decisions on, absolutely everything. And so your ideas are welcome, my friends. And that's why I have marked it up as such. But yeah, feel free, my friends, to get your ideas in. Again, let me know if you like my thinking where the area is concerned. Let me know if you think that this is the right route to take. If you agree, disagree, that's what the comment section is built for. Make sure you let me know. You're in control. I am just feeding you my opinions and my master plan for these areas so that I know where Chapter 3 is going. On to the third part of this master plan episode, my friends, and we find ourselves in the sort of North American area, I guess you could say, which is very, very important at the end of the day, because we've got lots of space left here. And I really don't know what to do with it. So first and foremost, I am going to put the zoo perimeter and the staff road on the map, because they sort of continue on from what we were doing in the last section that I was talking about. Then I'm going to put up ideas. I'm going to put that on there first, okay? This is a huge area and I don't really know what to do with it. And I think that if I put it up as ideas, then you guys can decide what we do with it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think the zoo can swing round and go that way, in my opinion. I just don't. Now, a lot of you might think that the perimeter could then, bend in and come in, and we could just fill that out with greenery or whatever to build up a sound blanket basically to the main road. It's a very, very popular thing that's done in architecture and stuff like that they will build up these foliage barriers because it stops the noise from roads and whatnot. We could do that, but if anyone else has got better ideas, or they've got an idea of a way to take the zoo out that way or whatever, feel free to leave those ideas in the comment section below. At the end of the day, you guys are in control of this zoo. You always have been from day one, and I don't want to take that control away from you. I still want your ideas and your creative juices to keep flowing, because without you, the zoo wouldn't have been possible, and you've actually, helped me build an unbelievable project to this point, my friends. So that's the ideas section there. First thing I want to touch upon here is obviously near the bears and wolves. I did put in sort of a gate for the bears, which was like an access gate. So I'm going to put up a small strip there that's going to be the remainder of the back lot area for the bears and the wolves, basically. It's going to be a walk down to the main pavement area where our guests are. So it's going to be a walk down to there, and it's going to join up to the back lot, basically. I think that makes sense to put that in there. And so, yeah, that's exactly what I am going to do. The next couple of things I'm going to put up on the screen are I'm going to put up a toilet and the train station. Now, I plan on putting the North American section of the train service here. I think it's a perfect place for it. I actually think that it will help traffic and move people into the wolves and the bears. As you all know, we've got issues getting people up this far into the zoo, and so it's one of the reasons why I started putting into place this sort of transport-y type system that will sort of act as a ride for the kids as well, I guess. It's going to pass by. It's never going to pass through, but it's going to pass by some of the habitats, and I think it'd be really cool to have it kind of loop back near the open plains, and also I think it's going to go near the savannah area and so on, but I think this is a perfect place basically for the train station to go. As a result, I've put in a very small foliage barrier, because that will be important to dampen the noise, because the train is going to be quite a noisy thing. I think it's further enough away from the bears and the wolves, and they've got a blanket of foliage along their wall anyway, so that should take that away, but I think it's further enough away that we don't need to worry about the noise from that. And then my last idea, I believe, where this area was concerned, it was obviously right at the top of the map, near the bears and the wolves. Now, we said that we were going to do the North American, kind of carry it on into sort of a Canadian Alaskan type thing, didn't we? And so I think that the perfect thing to do is to put the reindeer in up the top, basically. Now, obviously, I'm using rectangles and squares because it's the easiest shape to use when you're building plans and things like this. Obviously, it won't necessarily be the case. Just because it's a large rectangle doesn't mean the habitat's going to be a large rectangle. Please use your imagination. But, at the end of the day, that's where I kind of see the reindeers going. I think it might be a really cool place to put them. And then obviously I'm just going to fill the rest in. That'll be the guest path, basically, ladies and gents. So that's just a loose plan of kind of how I see this part going. If you guys think that another animal might fit better there, then feel free to let me know. If you don't like the placement or whatnot, just let me know. Any of it you don't like, you've got to write your comments. You've got to let me know what you think, basically, because unless you do, I won't know if you're happy or not. And at the end of the day, if more people are unhappy about my idea, then the more chance there is that I won't do it, and I will, basically cater it to more how you guys potentially see it. But I think this is a good use of this space. I think that it kind of makes sense at this stage, as there isn't too much left where North America's concerned to really sort of be adding too much more. So yeah, get your comments in and let me know what you think of this area. We're on to the fourth part of today's master plan episode. Now, this is a bit of a strange one. This, to be fair, is a little bit boring, to be honest with you. This is more me kind of letting you know how I think that this could best play out. Now, we are right over in the Reptarium. You will see sort of to the right hand side, that is the Reptarium there, ladies and gents, the main Giraffinator reptile house, and one of the animal nurseries, basically. So how I see this bit going is that there's going to be as you see, there's a road at the bottom. Now, I'm going to add the how I see the road ending. Now, it could end up being a bit bigger or smaller or so on and so on. Nothing is really to scale. It's very difficult to really do things to scale, where this is concerned. But this is how I kind of see the road ending. Now, as I've already stated, this road that the zoo lives on isn't like a main road. This is like a road that it was kind of purpose built for the zoo. It was an old industrial estate, as you will all remember, because of the factory and so on and so on. And so obviously this was kind of like the road that used to service all of that area, and it was off of the main road. Now, we've decided to finish this road here. I'm going to stick a little roundabout on the end so that if guests do go too far, they can just turn around on that roundabout and hightail the other way. I think that's the perfect, basically the perfect thing to do. Now, I think that what would make sense is to add staff parking on this road, because we don't really have too much staff parking. We're obviously going to add some staff parking over in the new administration area, if you guys are happy to go with that. But I do think that we need some staff parking over here as well. To really sort of add to it. We've got some at the sort of, the original staff centre, but I do think we need some more. So that's why I have added that in there. Now, with this said, it begs the question, what do we do with the rest of the area? Now, what I've done now is, you'll see on the screen, the zoo perimeter, a foliage barrier, and a staff road. I'm going to throw all them on the screen at the same time, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the zoo perimeter here, it is a bit confusing, but kind of, obviously the staff road, as far as I've done it, exists outside the zoo perimeter. Now, what I mean by the zoo perimeter is sort of like, most of the time that's the edge of the zoo, but also that's as far as the guests can go, in my opinion. So that staff road, it might exist outside, but it will obviously be part of the zoo's perimeter. But we obviously don't want the guests going any further than that diagonal zoo perimeter line at the end of the day. So there probably would be another security checkpoint, but I probably wouldn't put it here because we've already got one here. I'd probably put it further up the road. Basically, that staff road there that I put in, I think will be the one that we use to service the savannah area, and that one will loop all the way around the edge, and it will end up all the way back at basically where we were a little while ago at the animal hospital, and so on and so on, because I want that staff road to loop all the way around as well as work its way in the main facility the way it does already. So yeah, that's that. Obviously that blanket of foliage I think is important, because that really helps you map edges of your zoo and stuff like that. And again, it's noise. It's a noise control element. And then the other bit, obviously, as I've mentioned, was the zoo perimeter. So that's that. And then I'm just going to throw in, just so you know, the rest of the area. We'll probably potentially end up as sort of African, into Africa, slash backlot, slash storage, and so on and so on. That's probably what it's going to end up as here, because as you can see at the top, that's our bridge there, and that's the guest pathway that goes off in that direction. So I would imagine that we are going to work some animals and stuff into this area so it doesn't get wasted. I know that a few people left comments and they weren't too happy about one of the areas that I left last time. I don't think you should fill it up with foliage and so on and so on, but obviously I'm doing this as realistic as possible, and this would actually be a very noisy part of the zoo. If you look at that road that goes underneath the bridge, and all of the backlot stuff that's going on here, I do think it would be really, really noisy. I'm just not sure it's the best place for an animal to go. Yeah, that's that basically, and now we're going to move on to the very last bit. And so here we are. This is the last bit, my friends. And now this is sort of, I'm going to talk about an area that we are kind of currently working on, I guess you could say. And it is, of course, the part that's near the bridge. This isn't the best picture, to be honest with you. I could have taken a much better picture of the map to have helped me along the way. But it will do, my friends. It will do. So yeah, this is an area that we've been talking about heavily, basically. You will see the train station, the bridge. This is the area that I was working on in last episode. Now, the train station, first and foremost, is the thing I want to tackle. Where it lies now is not where it's going to go. I'm going to put up on the screen where I see the African train station, going in the future. That's just the train station. Obviously, I do realise I've built backstage stuff. I haven't really mapped that out today. I've just moved this train station up a little bit. I just don't like it being as close to the path as it is. I don't think it makes a lot of sense personally, so that's why I've moved it up, and it actually gives us a bit more room to kind of build a bit of a plaza out the front of it, and so on and so on. Now, because I've moved that up, it's then left some space in front of the station. Now, obviously, we've got to use our imaginations again. It is just a loose plan, ladies and gents, but for a long time, there was a big plan for the aardvarks to have an outdoor and an indoor section. And the indoor section, we were going to try to replicate a aardvark burrow. I believe Fanerall was the person that came up with this idea, and it's something I've been really just, I've been chomping at the bit to do it, because it's a challenge, because I've never done it like before. So what I'm going to put in front of the station where it used to exist is an Africa house. Now, I want this to be an indoor-outdoor experience, but the reason I'm building it as a house is obviously we want to build like an internal area for the aardvarks. I want to have just like a normal sleeping area, and then I want there to be some steps that go down into like a burrow, basically, that I'm going to try to build. Hopefully, we can get the aardvarks to use it, and I want them to have access to the burrow from the outside part of the habitat. We're going to try to build this in a way that we can get the animals to go in. It's going to be a challenge, but that's basically what I want to do. But because there are some exhibit animals that we could put in here, I think that it's ideal to turn into sort of like a house as well. There's the giant snails, I believe, the frogs. There's the Goliath frogs. They're actually from Africa, and we've been wanting to move them out of the original Reptarium for a long time. So I think that there's a few exhibit animals that we could get in there. Then there'll be lots of walls that will be free for education and decoration, because we're theming quite heavily. I think this could be quite a cool thing to do. So it wouldn't be like a massive, building like, like the Rainforest House or anything like that. I think it'd be a smaller project, maybe a bit like the sort of tapirs, swimming building, or something a bit maybe like the Anteaters dark house, basically. That's kind of how I see this working out, and I do think it's a perfect place. Obviously, we are going to work around this way. We've talked about, as we work around here, we're going to go to a bit more of a tropical feel, and so obviously I've basically put in here African jungle, and that's literally all I've done for now. I've just put it in as African jungle. Now, I've been asking you guys to get your feedback in, what animals you'd like to see in these areas, and you've really just absolutely smashed it out of the park. Now, I've obviously been looking at the animals as well, and I think the gorillas and the mandrills are going to work better, not in the same habitat, but like if we're building like an experience, they're going to work better being closer together. And then I believe there were a few other animals that I thought about, potentially doing. Now, one thing I do want to do is obviously I would like to have the pygmy hippos around here somewhere. Now, a lot of people have said that we could do them in the rivers of the world, but I am actually thinking about using the larger species of hippo for that, because I'd like to take an animal from each continent, if possible, to put in the rivers section, and I think we can achieve that, and so I want to save them for that. And the pygmy hippos, I think, would work better, because I want to try to give the pygmy hippos their own space, but I want to build a river system so that they can't get up into the habitats, but they pass on by in the rivered sort of trench area that potentially is going to surround, the chimpanzees, habitat, and so on and so on. So they can't actually get up and in, but they kind of would walk past in the water. I think it'd be quite a cool idea. I'm not sure if zoos have done this, but there's nothing to say they couldn't do it based on the stuff I've been reading. So there could be two separate sort of bits of land that our pygmy hippos could go on that are connected by this waterway, which would create islands for the chimpanzees and so on to go on. I'm trying to do it so that these animals are actually found in the same parts of the world. And as far as I think it's the chimps and the pygmies, and potentially the bongos, I think were all found in the same part, and then there were a few others that were found the same. I could be completely wrong. I could be getting the animals mixed up and completely wrong, but from what I was reading, I think it's possible. And so that's what I'd like to do sort of with the jungle area. we're going to need more space for the jungle area, and so I've obviously at the top I've put an extension for that jungle area to go up. Now, we've already said we want this to be like an off loop. We don't want this to be part of the official round loop that the zoo is travelling in. We want this to be like an off section that people could go and visit, and so that is going to go up, back and work its way round. And then obviously you've got the bit that right to the left hand side of the map, and that is just going to be sort of Africa continued. That's going to be like the savannah area and so on continued. This is a very, very loose plan. Obviously this could all change. It really depends on how much room all of this stuff takes up, ladies and gents, but that's kind of how I see this going. And once again, comment below whether you like it, whether you don't, and let me know if there's anything you would change. And so, my friends, we are back at the map. Well, not at the map, in the actual game. We're back here. Basically, there was something I forgot to add in my plans, and so I wanted to bring you here into the main game so that I could show you. Now, obviously, we have begun Africa over here. It's well documented that that's what we've been working on. You will see I have been working on the backstage, been filling in a lot more stuff, plants and all sorts of things. A couple of people weren't happy with this waste of space, but we just wouldn't be able to put an animal in there based on the things I've been reading. But what I am thinking is we've got an abundance of young peacock that have been born in the zoo, and they just take up so much room. So what I'm potentially thinking of doing, because the whole idea where the peacocks were concerned is that they had free roam of the zoo, essentially. We wanted to designate certain areas for the peacocks to walk around, didn't we? We obviously have the gardens, the wild pond over here, and we've got the wild gardens here. Now, what I am thinking about doing is in this area is placing some elephant grass under the ground to stop the peacocks from, walking off. But potentially, giving the peacocks an area over here that they could roam about in. I think it's a really interesting area to put them, and I think that this is the sort of area where you would find them, not far from the restaurants, picking off all those little bits of food and whatnot that could be left to them. And then what I want to do as well is I want to potentially sort of do a similar thing up here. Maybe up near the train station or where the education centre is. At the end of the day, it's just going to take a small amount of sinking down some elephant grass, and away you go. At the end of the day, you can really, really make it happen. And these two areas are kind of perfect built for it, because where the fences are, I can put the gates in for the peacock habitat walls, basically. So they're actually perfect places, for the peacocks to go. Now, if you don't like the idea, the best thing to do is, as I've been saying all episode, let me know in the comment section below if it's something you don't like. But if you do, let me know, my friends, because we've got so many of them, and like I've already said, the whole thing where the peacocks were concerned was to make it look as though they roamed about the zoo, in more of a wild, way, like they do in a lot of, British zoos at the end of the day. And we wanted it to be so they had sort of free reign of the zoo. I want to try to add a couple more if possible. And again, that might help with drawing people into those areas, because I don't know if it is an actual thing in the game, but from what I've found, walkthrough exhibits are very, very popular with the patrons and the guests inside the zoo. But we are done, my friends, for another episode of Planet Zoo and our JCP build. I am continuing to work away, on all the little bits and bobs, all the background, area. As far as Sunday's episode is concerned, I think I'm going to try to get the animal hospital done, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of the day, I could continue working over here, but you guys, obviously I want to read through all your comments, and I then want you guys to finalise what animals we should be starting with over there, and obviously I want you to get back to me on what you think about the Africa house and stuff like that, because there's no point me beginning anything over here until I know that you guys are a-okay with all of my plans. So I think Animal Hospital is probably what you can expect on Sunday. As far as the map is concerned, obviously we've talked about lots of areas that could potentially be sort of unlocked as a way to get these perimeters put in place, get the edges of the map done, car parks, whatever. Please let me know what you think of that. I'm basically going to give it a few days, and then hopefully by the time I'm streaming on Thursday, I can then say to you, you were happy with this, you weren't happy with this is what we're going to work on, we're going to crack on with this, that and the other, and basically just continue with this fantastic project. But my friends, I am done, I am off. I need to go and rest up my voice as I've been talking for a very long time. But yeah, I will see you all tomorrow, hopefully live on stream. But until then, look after yourself, my friends. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you are new, stay safe, stay humble. See you all next time.